All right. Welcome to Talk 24 Podcast. Got a special guest for y'all tonight. First of all, we got my co host, Bryce Javiak, and our special guest, Mr. Christian Maige. We're going to let some people come on right now. Before we, uh, before we get started here, just want to thank everybody for coming on. We're going to try to let a few people get on before we get into the conversation, but I wanted to bring Christian on, let him share kind of his story, his journey, answer any questions you guys have for him. And just kind of let him talk about his journey in baseball and uh, and where he's at right now, and then the direction he's trying to go. We got a few people on right now. We'll wait, let a few more people jump on. Bryce, you want to talk about what we got? Go ahead and talk about some what we got as far as the camp
Summer
and all
camp
that.
registration is still open. We are less than a month away. Looking at the calendar, I don't know how many days. It starts June 8th, so get registered as soon as possible. We would like. We do still have spots available. We look forward to having a great summer. Christian is also one of our coaches for summer camp, so he will be there as well.
See, now we got from mine. I think we got 9 people on. Looks like we got about 13 on from our Team 24 podcast page. So yeah, we'll jump right in, get started. We'll let Christian kind of introduce himself, and then we'll run it through some questions, and then we'll allow you guys to you guys can post or text any questions you have for him as we go, and we'll read them and have him answer them. So yeah, Christian,
What's
welcome.
up? So if y'all don't know me, I'm Christian Maige. I grew up playing ball here in Cairo. Played at Cairo High School. Got the opportunity to go play or go pitch at the Division II level in South Carolina at Erskine College. When I got there, was pretty much played with injuries for 2 years straight. Didn't touch the field or anything, and that's kind of where my story kind of picks up. And I had to deal with that. A lot of struggle, and then overcame that with a surgery. Ended up transferring to Thomas University and had my first full healthy season this year of college ball, and it was a good one. And pretty much where we're at now.
I know you mentioned you having a injury place start of your
Mm.
college career. Kind of talk about how that affected you mentally, because we have a lot of kids that go through it, and then when they go through an injury, um, and they feel like baseball or whatever sport that they're playing has been taken away from 'em,
Mhm.
the mental part of it is the biggest aspect, and some kids will just end up just turning away from the game because they
Mhm.
can't handle the fact that they're hurt, and there's another, and the belief that I can come back and be, the same player I was and overcome, the injury that they had. To kind of share like where you were mentally, if there was any time that you were like in a dark place,
Mhm.
because I know that's a part of it, and kind of like how you got out of that.
Okay, so when I first got injured, obviously it was mentally tough. Anytime you go through an injury and you get taken from the game, it's hard. But I wasn't say I was really in a dark place. Injuries are part of the game, and I kind of just accepted it and was working through what I had to do to get back. And then, so my injury story kind of goes rehab, re-injury, rehab, re-injury, and then surgery. Um, when you rehab and you re-injure yourself, and then you rehab and you re-injure yourself again, it ultimately get a injury or a year long, recover. I got Tommy John surgery. Takes a year to recover from. That's when, and I know I had talked to you over the phone while I was away at college. It's like when you start questioning your love for the game, because everybody says they love it until you go through something that makes you question, are you willing to sacrifice, certain things for it?
Right.
And I said I loved it my whole life. Always kind of thought that my path wasn't going to be easy because I mean, growing up, I had to work for pretty much everything, and I always said that no matter how hard it get, I wasn't going to quit. And I got put in a spot that really tested that, you know. over and over, injury to injury. Coming home, people asking, how's baseball going? Having to tell them I'm still hurt, and they're like, again, and I'm like, yes. And then end up under the surgeon, get my elbow cut open and all that. And then I went from not touching a baseball field for 1.5 to 2 years to getting a year-long recovery surgery to where I couldn't even bend my arm and had to recover that. So mentally, it pushed you in a dark place. I think my worth was it wasn't really tied up in baseball, so I didn't really struggle with that side of it. Um, I looked at myself as more of just a hardworking person in everything I do rather than just baseball. So when baseball kind of got taken from me, I just applied that to other areas of my life. But it definitely took away a piece of who I was because that was what I had worked for my whole life and I've loved since I was a kid. And then I had to kind of flip a switch and become delusional at some point because I didn't touch a field for 3 years and I didn't play. I got to college, graduated high school in 2022, got to college, and didn't even touch a field in an inter squad or put on a jersey until my junior year of college. And not even, I mean, people didn't even know I played baseball, and it was rough. It was something that was kind of a little bit out of my control because my injuries weren't like self-inflicted from ignorance or not taking care of myself. I did everything I could. It was just one of those things that's just, I mean, luck of the draw. And getting on the other side of that and being delusional, having some delusional confidence, I think there's some truth to that, and getting to where I'm at now is something that I kind of backed up that delusion to myself
Right.
because I knew that I was capable, and I'm not like great beyond any means, but playing the level I'm playing at now. But there was still that part of me that was like, dude, you ain't touched the ball in 3 years, or even throwing a batter in 3 years, you know. So I just had to kind of tell myself that when I get the ball again and I start competing, it's just going to be like riding a bike, and it wasn't. It was hard, but yeah, I think I'm kind of back to the player that I know I can be and that I was.
Well, I remember. I know you said that. Like when you said when it first happened, um, that you when you and I talked, and I remember getting that phone call, and I remember you just going like, telling me like, look, I want to. What do you think about me just like going to do something different, like da da da? I think
Hmm.
this is, whatever, and I was like, hey, listen, you know, and I know it's hard, and I haven't, I was lucky enough to have a career that wasn't injury plagued, so I don't know where you were, um, or how to handle that mentally, or how to go through that, just because I haven't been through it as an individual and as an athlete, but I just seen people go through it, um, and just what I saw in you is just your body working what you put into it. So that's when I was like, oh, I was like, you can't, like
Hmm.
I don't care about any of that. You know what I mean? And you gotta stick with it. And and I think the way you took that conversation was to me was like, okay, I'm not, like I
Yeah,
must be there must be something
yeah,
out there, and I shouldn't just like
yeah,
lay it down. So that's the part of me that where I knew, all right, this kid's growing, and that
hmm,
he's not gonna allow this to
yeah,
be whatever. Because I'd always tell you, like, you know who you are, right?
hmm,
Like, and that's the biggest thing. And that's the biggest thing in sports.
yeah,
Like, is when you're playing the game, is you gotta know who you are.
hmm,
And what a lot of kids don't do nowadays, and it is something that you did is, and I stress this to all athletes, stress it to my son, my kids, that you got to bet on you. Like if you want somebody to a college or a professional team to invest in you and to buy stock in you, then the first person that has to buy stock in you is yourself.
hmm,
And that's kind of where I was, going with you is like you got to buy stock in you.
yeah,
The work that you put in, all that, we're gonna just let it go. Nah, because I remember you having a conversation where you were like, "I'm done pitching.
yeah,
What do you think about me? Just like let's start hitting, and
yeah,
I'm gonna go play a position." I was like, "Nah."
yeah,
You know what I mean? And look, and I get it because you used to hit, you used to whatever, but it's back when you were younger, and I go, you're gonna play college baseball.
hmm,
A lot of people thought I was crazy when I said that, but it's Sometimes it's about the work.
Yeah.
I saw the work. I saw the way you work. I wasn't gonna say you were gonna go play at Florida State or someplace like
Yeah.
that, but you were good enough to play college baseball and pitch at that level. And going through what you went through, injury wise, it's tough. Especially like I seen the work.
Mhm.
I know the hours and what you put into your body
Yeah.
and what you put in or whatever, and to get on the field. You know what I'm saying? So, like for me, just getting the videos and all that of you pitching this year was just so satisfying because I know
Yeah.
how in the body of work that you put in the work you put in to get back out there.
Yeah. I think during that time when we were going back and forth, I remember I knew I loved baseball and I knew I wanted to compete and I wasn't done with it. But I was just at a point where I was just throwing stuff at the wall,
Right.
trying to see what stuck. And like the conversation with you of like I don't know if this is for me or something like that. I knew it was. I was just that's why you were the phone call. Because I
Right.
knew you were the person that'd be like, nah, dog, that's not it. And it was
Yeah.
just I mean, I was 6 hours from home in a little town. Erskine's really small. If y'all don't know what Erskine College is, and I mean, it's a good environment, good baseball. But when you're not playing, it can definitely be just a freaking bubble of depression. You
For
know,
sure.
that's kind of what it became for me. But yeah, I mean, here we are.
Speaking of, being in a dark place or whatever, what kind of advice do you have? Like, what was your go-to thing to get you outside of that dark place?
Um, Again, I think it was convincing myself of something that to other people seemed so far out of reach, which was just like the delusional confidence I had. Because I mean, I'm a logical person. I think everything through logically, and I see inputs and outputs. And looking at the situation I was in from the outside, and if I heard myself say the things that I said, or thought that I could do the things I did, I would have thought that I was crazy too. And it was just like the man. I know we say now like 3 years or whatever. That's a long time of just injury, repeat
Mhm.
injury, build back up, get some strength, tear UCL, can't throw or anything for another long period of time. And it's just that is a lot of just beat down. And I just told myself that I think we talked about it. You're like, this is just your story.
Right.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I was just I mean, I didn't know if that story was ever gonna end or there was gonna be an upside at the end. But I was just like, this would be sick if I stuck this out and, did something with it. But also I love baseball and I proved myself that, I mean, I know everybody says they love the game, whatever, blah blah blah, but when stuff goes bad, people dip. One
Mhm.
injury or one even not even surgery, you gotta do rehab. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't know if you really loved it or if it may not be for you. But for me, I knew that this was my dream since I was a kid, and I always figured it'd be hard. And then when it got hard, it was just I had to tell myself like this was the hard that I knew was coming, and now I'm in it. And now it's just you can't just back out now because then I'm not somebody that does hard things. So I was just like, I'm gonna see this through. I got one life. I'm gonna be 18 to 23 once. I might as well see if I can play college baseball. So here we are.
Well, you mentioned hard, right? And this is something that I'm sure I've said to you. I've said it to I think I've posted this. It's something I've always told Trey, whatever. And it's just a saying that's all over. Is that especially for athletes, is that everything you want in life is on the other side of hard.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And some people, some athletes don't they don't ever get to that point. It's almost like you buying the blow pop and the gums in the middle, but you lick it twice and you
Hmm.
think, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like when it gets hard, you know what I mean? Like what you want is on the other side of it. So do you stop or you gotta go
Exactly.
through that.
Yeah.
And I think you're a prime example of just, you could have easily walked away. We've had numerous conversations
Yeah.
to
Very
where
easily.
and whatever, and I would always, and I'll tell you this to this day is like every great athlete, every great player, everybody's got a story.
Hmm.
And this is yours. And you're able to write your own story and it's gonna help somebody someday because somebody's out there right now
Going through
Hmm.
the same
that's going
thing.
through the same thing. And they gotta be like, and I have to commend you too because on the flip side of you just being mentally tough as a baseball player and as a person, I think your faith played a huge role in that too, because you got to pray. You know what I mean? And when we would talk all the time, and you would just be like, and you would, I know you haven't mentioned this, so yet, but you would always say, well, I'm just going to pray about it, and then we would always end the conversation. No matter what I said, you would always be like, yeah, I'm just going to pray about it, and then
Yeah.
I'm just gonna, and that's the biggest thing, and the fact that your faith gave you the strength to just keep knocking, keep stacking days, keep knocking down doors until, you got up on the mountain. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like for a lot of people, when things get hard and injuries plague you, and for some people it's like, look, my body's had enough.
Yeah.
I'm just, and that's okay.
Mhm.
When you've done enough or whatever, that's okay. But if it's when you walk out there and you take that lighter and you go, and there's still a flame,
Mhm.
then it's kind of keep working.
Yeah.
Now, if you're out there and you're still doing this, and we ain't getting nothing, then we gotta look, and that's okay
Yeah.
for some players. Some people's, their light dim a lot faster than others. And I just commend you because I see the work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to the day, I see it because it hasn't changed. You know what I'm saying? So, just you being able to mentally, like,
Yeah.
weather this storm to give you a chance to do something that a lot of kids out there parents have spent thousands and thousands of dollars
Mhm.
for them to play travel ball. They'll never stand on that mountain.
Yeah.
They'll never put on a college uniform. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
parents out there that spent thousands of dollars and bought a car.
Yeah.
And their kid got a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and then
They're
they've
done.
never played again.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and because it wasn't hard for them. You know what I'm saying? It's just they just decided.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for you to go through what you went through, it'll definitely be hard for you to see kids that are going through like, well, I'm not playing,
Mhm.
so I quit.
Yeah.
That, to me, and if I'm you, I can't take that story.
Yeah.
I can't accept that because here you are physically able to do whatever, and you're not playing, and you have the ability to go out, work out,
Yeah.
Get lessons, do everything you need to do to give yourself a chance. There's people out there that physically just are not out there because they're hurt,
Mhm.
and you're going,
Yeah.
and you're going to just throw it away.
Yeah. Don't even have a chance.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah. Going back to that faith thing you said, during that period, the I was always strong in my faith. I grew up in a good Christian household, but during that time, I think my faith got tested the most. But it also wasn't, just like a straight like me, really thinking that God had it under control type thing. There was a lot of like ups and downs. I never gave up on it, but it was one of those things. I remember one specific prayer I said. I was like, look, you know me better than anybody, and I ain't finna give up on this. So if you want me to be done with it, you're gonna have to make it really clear. And he never did. So I kept pushing through it, and then on the other side of it now. So,
that's huge.
yeah.
That's huge because that's a for anybody that's a big thing to ask. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? When you say, look, if you don't want me, like, make it clear. That means
Yeah.
break my arm, do
Yeah.
whatever. Like, give me.
Well, that already
you know,
happened.
right.
I was just,
so
I needed him to tell me
it
like
needs to be a
this is
clear
it
cut sign.
because it was either this is part of your story or this is me trying to tell you that. And if anything, it was the opposite. I felt like it was more like, nah, you're right. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. So just keep on. And being healthy and all that felt so far out of sight.
For sure.
Yeah, at that time. So it was hard.
So for the younger kids out there, what nowadays do you need to be that college? What got you there? I know you worked here out at Team 24 and all that, but like what strived you to be great, and how do you keep going? Like how did you keep going in work?
Like before injuries?
Yeah.
That's a little difficult for me to answer for everybody because I fell in love with the game at such a young age. I remember when I played my first like real competitive baseball and travel ball, my first tournament, I was like, yo, I'm done with every other sport. which I don't recommend actually. I'd recommend playing multiple sports. But that was where I was at. I didn't know any better. And my dad was just like, all right, you love baseball, we're gonna stick with it. So I was playing baseball 24/7, loved every minute of it. And then worked out here pretty much my whole life. And I had already had like a work ethic because I'm like kind of OCD and perfectionist with everything. Like when it comes to school and everything, I take it very seriously and I want to be the best. And that's kind of how I was here. But then being coached in the Rodney, it taught me like, kind of like that Mamba mentality,
Mhm.
and that was just something that I never really had to like work for, if that makes sense. Like it was always just work,
Yeah.
work, work,
Yeah.
work. And it was like, I mean, if I took one day off, it was just like I had to do something. Like even in the midst of my injuries, I was hitting legs freaking like 5 times a week. And it was just not healthy at all. I don't recommend it, but I had to go and do something. Sometimes I would just go to the gym and like hit the treadmill and then just be there for an hour just on my phone or something. But I think if you want to play at the next level and you don't have that natural drive, because that's a lot of people, you either one have to find a way to fall in love with the process, whatever that may be, or there's some kids out there that will play college ball just off pure talent. But that I think once they get there, that they have dreams and aspirations to go even further or play at a Division 1. If they're not at Division 1, it's going to take that work ethic no matter what. But yeah, I think some kids will get there by being lazy. There's natural ability,
Yeah.
and that's all right. But I think there's going to be the higher you climb it, the more those guys get weeded out, especially in college baseball because it's a full time job. It's not as fun if you don't truly love the game, so you'll be out of there quick. So.
Good job. Now, when you went to college from high school, was there a jump in coaching, like, or did you have that structure when you were in high school?
Um, you talking about like harshness
Yeah,
or
like what is there different? I mean,
yes, yeah, very
yeah,
different. The coaching was different. It was a higher expectation for sure. High school, especially here at Cairo High School, the talent level is not crazy compared to some of these other schools, and the expectations I think are just lower. Like they're fine with less. When I got to Erskine and seeing some of those guys, well, one I was like, holy crap, I'm the worst pitcher on staff as soon as I got there, and then also it was these guys expect a lot out of everybody. Like I didn't get the pitch when I got there because I literally hurt myself from the
yeah,
get go. But watching, the inter squads, the Fall World Series, that whole process going into the spring, I still like traveled around with the team and all, and saw how they competed and how they went about it. I was like, this is legit baseball, and I love that. I want it to be legit baseball, but I knew that when I got back, I was going to have to be ready for that. So there's definitely a jump, and that may be different for other high schools. I don't, but from with my experience with Cairo to that college level, it was definitely a jump.
all right. If you guys have any questions for Christian, go ahead and drop them. We had one question earlier, and it is: if you had one thing to change in youth baseball today, what would that be?
Okay, so I do pitching lessons. If y'all didn't know that, if you want to sign up, shameless plug,
Nice little
you
plug.
can find it on my Facebook or Team 24 Facebook. Feel free to call me or text me. But I was talking to one of my several of the kids I do lessons with about this kind of this performance over development kind of thing that you have with youth sports. And I'm a huge fan of winning. There's nothing I love more than going out there and winning. And I think that playing youth sports is it's important that you go out there and compete on these travel ball teams and all, and you're playing to win. But there's also this thing where these kids are so focused on at a young level of sports, you can get away, you can have good results with bad processes, if that makes sense. For example, you can have good results with a very bad swing when you're 12 years old because everybody's throwing slow, nothing's breaking, stuff like that. And you're going to keep doing that over and over again because you're going out, you're going 3 for 3 every weekend. But eventually, as you keep growing older and velo picks up and kids are spinning balls and you don't know what's coming and what count and all that kind of stuff, that swing that you have is not going to get you through it. So I think at a young age, people need to put aside performance for a little bit to develop, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So what I tell some of these kids when I do pitching lessons mainly, and is that they may be throwing strikes all day long, and that's great. I don't want to take away from what everybody's different. They have things they do differently. There's not one cookie cutter pitching mechanics or swing mechanics or anything. But I try to tell them that it's great that you're throwing strikes right now and you're competing, but if you could sacrifice that for a little bit and get uncomfortable and learn this, once it all clicks, your performance will skyrocket. But for now, because you're not doing what you've been doing, you may dip, and that's okay. But the thing that they get caught up with is they're playing every weekend, which there's nothing wrong with that, but they want to perform well.
Yep.
So they're stuck in these same, and some kids have really good processes, and this doesn't really apply to them. Although there's still room for improvement. But again, like at a young age, you get away with bad mechanics, bad everything because it's such a lower level competition. When you get older, let's say you got that long loopy swing that falls off, flattens out, and you get hits now, but you get older and you're facing 90 plus, that ain't gonna do it.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, you're 16 to 18 years old trying to totally reinvent your swing when you could have just sacrificed that 12U ring that you don't look at anymore
Right.
in order to get better. Exactly. Because when you get older, I don't think about any 12U games I had ever. I think more about a singular high school game
For sure.
over a
Yeah.
whole tournament.
I think that's the biggest thing, just going off of what you talked about, and that's kind of like, what I harp on here, more so than anything is, yeah, okay, you love baseball. Cool. We've established that, right? But do you love the process? What happens when you got to walk through the door and you don't have a bat,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't have a ball, you don't have your glove. It's just you. And you got to go in here, we got to get a workout in.
Mm-hmm.
This tells me how much you love baseball because the process
Yeah.
in developing yourself, getting bigger, faster, and stronger. Kids come all the time, and parents, and this may touch some people, whatever, but they think they got the next Chipper Jones,
Mm-hmm.
and they walk in here, and he's 10, 11, they going, well, he didn't get a hit that, that he's 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why don't we do this and let's fail at it, but it's the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was doing it, but he wasn't hitting. He's 10. He
Yeah.
can't go to Yankees tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like he's 10. Like let it process.
Yeah.
Like let it develop. He can't field ground balls that way. You know what? This is the right way to field a ground
He
ball.
will when he does it 1,000
He
times.
will
Yeah.
when he does it 1,000 times
Yeah.
because reps are moved out.
Exactly.
The more reps you take, the more you're gonna any ball you hit, you're gonna beat it.
Yeah.
So he's gonna miss them now. That's what they do. But it's just that it's not more so the kids than is the parents want the success fast. And it's like this game, whether it's baseball and softball, it's not microwave. You don't stick it in the microwave. You press a button, 3 minutes, and you can eat. Well, that ain't how this has got to go in the crock pot. You got to put it in there, and it's got to it's got to cook for a long time. And then at the end, it'll be there. They'll be there. They'll be the players. If you get them the proper reps and the proper training, and they continue to do it over and over and over again, it's going to be so fun to go watch your kid play.
Yeah.
Instead of you sitting up there yelling, screaming, or whatever, because he's making mistakes and he's not hitting. He's 10. He's 12.
Yeah.
He didn't throw strike. Okay. He was trying to do okay.
Yeah.
Like it's okay.
Yeah.
And
it's like the best time to fail.
Yes, and exactly 100%. I literally just said that to I think it was Josh today. He was here, and I said, Josh, have you hit any games? Have you hit any game left-handed yet? He was like, no. I was like, and his mom said, the coach said that they have to be. They're gonna let him do it when they're scores like whatever, and they'll let him try it. I'm like, he's 10. The best time to try it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like who cares? It's so. Look, we've all won. We want to win. Let's not get it twisted. But I've yet to see the Yankees or the Braves sign a 10-year-old, 12-year-old.
Yeah.
I've yet to see one of them sign to go to Florida State or Miami or Auburn.
Yeah.
Or, it's not happening. So we're putting so much on travel ball, and we're spending all this money on hotels and all this stuff, whatever, instead of on development. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the biggest thing that's missing. Everybody wants to play, but nobody wants to develop. But then you want to be like, and then if you do go, you get one lesson, and you expect it to be like
fix all. Yeah.
Yeah. And then if not, then the instructor's not good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, and I'm like, that's you
especially
only won
in this
a couple
game.
times.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, question for both of you. Do you think nowadays it's more the parents drain the kids. They want it more than the kids. And that's why most kids get tired, seeing from kids quitting their sport, and it always seemed like their parent was in here, they wanted it more. Like they said they were going to Florida State, stuff like that. You think nowadays that's got a big involvement in it?
Um, I'm really not sure if I don't know like the sample sizes on that, but I do know that it is a problem.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's growing more over nowadays, probably because of social media. And you see other kids and you see these 12U teams, going to Cooperstown or whatever, winning these big things. But yeah, I think it's that, and I don't think there's something necessarily wrong with. There's nothing wrong at all with teaching your kid to win.
No.
But there's definitely a fine line when the kid feels like there has to win. And I think that's where you gotta make it fun for them because it is a game, and then they are 10 and 12. But also, it's still like we do want you to go out there and perform well. But if you're trying something new or you're trying to get better, go out there and do that. If you fail, you fail. So I don't know if it's necessarily grown. I would imagine so because of social media and all that, and the comparison thing that's in this society today. So probably.
I think parents everybody wants their kid to be successful, rightfully so. And I think it's hard for parents at times because you want to be supportive and you want to and sometimes support doesn't have to always come in words. You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes with parents, we always want to be able to say the right thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm guilty of it, as a parent, because you want your kids to be, you want your kids to be successful. But we also have to understand that we have to allow them to fail to overcome whatever it is, because what we do as parents is we mask it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
When they do, and you know that it's on them, you go, it's okay, because Johnny, he didn't catch the ball either. Well, Johnny ain't your kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to take, I think parents, if they'll do one thing more than they do anything else, they'll help their kids. And that's just create and hold them accountable. Like create accountability and hold your kid accountable. Don't allow them to make excuses, and don't you make excuses for them. It's okay if your kid stunk it up today. You get what I'm saying? Don't make excuses and say, well, well, they all play bad. No. If he played bad, he played bad. It's okay. If you allow and if you establish accountability in your kid at an early age, I think it'll help him down the road. Because because parents aren't as tough because everybody want their kid to be like whatever, and I'm gonna try to make it easy for them. So if Johnny goes and gets cut on a team, and then he can't make another team, then I'll just create my own team.
Yeah.
Which tells your son, I ain't got to go out and compete and win. My dad will just And then you get to high school, and then your dad don't have a voice. He's coached you the whole time, and now he doesn't have a voice. And then the first time you go out there and they call the lineup, you're not in it. One, the coach don't like me. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Why ain't I playing? Well, the coach don't like me. They're playing favoritism, and you quit. But as parents, when you go off and do that, and you move your kids instead of saying no.
That's why
you're not.
They play on 12 travel ball teams,
right?
At 12
you're not
years old.
And I look. I had to look. I think my son was a really good athlete, and he got to Auburn. And look, it was the first time in his life where I had to look him in the face and say, "Listen, first time in your life, you ain't the best player on the team.
Yeah.
So what you gonna do?
Yeah.
I can't make excuses for you. Yeah. Right now, you're not the best player on the team. So guess what? We ain't getting the gym.
Yeah.
But we're not doing that. We're going and making up a team. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to go and, and then they get to high school and then they just quit. Yeah. And it's like, because I've had it. Well, I'm going to call the coach because, I don't know why he's not playing. Hold on. Don't call it. I want you to go. Go to practice. 3 days. Watch your kid. Nobody else. Watch your kid. Nobody else. And after those 3 days, if you feel like you need to call the coach, call them.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
But
saying?
they don't.
They don't call
Yeah.
because then they see it. You get what I mean? And then you get kids out there and it's like, well, the coach don't like me. Hold up, bro. The coach he's not out there to like you. He's out there to coach you. He is the coach of the team. You're a part of the team, right? You need to go do your work individually, get yourself ready to help the team.
Mhm.
Because you have, I don't know what the allotment is, the hour time of high school right now, but they're practicing, hour and a half, 2 hours a day, right? Really good programs are out there, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever the max is.
Mhm.
They're right at it, right? And there's 20 players.
Yeah, it's not private lesson.
Yeah.
It's not private lessons,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm gonna get a minute and a half of one-on-one lesson time with my head coach.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because we got 20 other kids that need some attention too. And then we got to give the group attention.
Yeah.
It's not a private session. You got to go get that on your own. And I think that's where sometimes parents get it. If they want to help their kids, then one, let's get some accountability.
Mhm.
Stop making excuses for them. And if they're not getting in the yard and putting in the extra work and putting in extra swings, then, why are we doing all this? Why are we doing this, spending 10 grand to play travel ball? And then when they get to high school,
They're quitting. Now you're in debt.
and it's just, and there's a lot of parents out there that, can relate because it's happened. I've seen it happen. I've seen parents pour in and I've seen kids play all this travel ball and then, parents want to spend the money and then, well, I don't want to go to college. Huh? You 50 grand, 150 grand in.
Yeah. You could have played rec ball.
Right. You could have just played rec ball, saved me the money.
Yeah.
Whatever. But then it's like, well, I got burnt out because I played every weekend and my dad wanted me to do this and all that.
Yeah.
Look, if you want to play, if you got dreams and aspirations of playing at the highest level, right? And it's a full-time job like right now. Because here's the thing. No matter what sport you're in, if you're the top basketball player in the country, if you're the top football player in the country, whatever, it's a year-round thing. Because all the best players, they people want them at camps. People want them doing whatever. You're playing. If you're playing baseball and you're a top baseball player, guess what? You're gone every weekend. There's a tournament or something that's going on. There's a showcase. There's a work somewhere.
Mhm.
So it's the whole. So we say I know it costs a lot of money to play travel ball. You have no idea what it costs when your son is one of the top players in the country.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because it gets more expensive because guess what? You're always going.
Because they're not going to Dothan, Alabama.
Exactly,
They're going
because
to
you're not
California,
playing.
Texas.
And then there's parents out there say, well, we want to play travel ball, but we want to play here. We don't want to travel and da.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You go in, and I'm not knocking any, directors out there that's having tournaments and Dothan and all that because that's good for some kids. But there's no scouts and nobody. No one's coming. They're not going to Moultrie.
No.
Yeah.
They're not going to tournaments and bangers.
Yeah.
And if you're playing 8U, 10U, 11, 12U, those are good.
Mhm.
But when you start thinking about whatever, it's not here. Unfortunately, it's not right around here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if we're sitting here complaining and arguing about playing baseball in Moultrie, and we're making a big deal out of it, well, we're not trying to, it's almost like walking outside and we don't shoot for the moon. We just shoot for the top of the pine trees, and that's just it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Also, off that note, I was talking with a kid the other day about how, on the flip side, is you're kind of talking about kids that may not be getting playing time. Blame on the coaches, the parents blame on the coaches, stuff like that. If you are the best on your team, and you're the guy or whatever or girl, it's important that the young athletes know that they're not competing necessarily with that group of guys, especially in this area.
For
That's
sure.
one thing, because it's not that impressive to be the best here. If that makes sense. I don't mean that harshly, but
Yeah.
when you're trying to go play college, they're not recruiting from like their whole roster from this area. You're competing with kids that you don't even know exist.
Right.
And what I'm getting at is you can't be complacent because you're the best.
Right.
It's somebody's out there doing this, and if they do this rep and I don't do this rep, and when we meet, he's going to take my spot. And that's kind of the flip side of that. The kids that are the best, that have always been the best on their team, that don't work hard or get complacent, is that they run into that kid that does work hard and
Yes.
has the talent, and then it's just a no brainer. You just get ran through.
For sure.
So, you got any like stories that you stuck with? What's your biggest like?
Hold on 1 second. Carlin's got a question.
Oh.
Carlin's got a question. Let me. Carlin Crowley wants to know, what's your advice to upcoming seniors trying to get noticed by college coaches?
My advice is, if you don't do Twitter, you got to do Twitter, which is X now.
100%.
That was, my recruiting was a little less orthodox. I kind of like got a lot better kind of late, and I didn't go to like a lot of showcases or anything like that. I had connections through some of my high school coaches, through you, and also you sent me to go play at a team in Atlanta, which is what we're just talking about. It was that you can't play around here. You got to go compete against the best, and there may be somebody there watching a kid that's supposed to be D1. You go up there and strike them out, or go shove against a team that's top 20 in the nation. Then all of a sudden they're looking at you.
Right.
And that was, you got to get up, play in Atlanta, go down, play in West Palm, wherever it may be, Jupiter, against where you're going to be playing against kids that are going to college or being recruited, and that's where the scouts are going to be. Because all it takes, and you say it all the time, you can not even be that great and go play one good game, have one good swing off one good player, and they say, you're getting an offer to go play somewhere because they see the potential. But also, you got to be able to put yourself out there shamelessly, especially on X now. I remember, especially for somebody like Carlin, I know Carlin, and she's a workhorse. You told me when I was that age was to video your workouts, video your BP, get any kind of game film you can get, and post it. I'm an uncommitted senior. Put your GPA if you're a good student. If not, I wouldn't put it in there. And then just let them know that this is what you're coming with. This is who you are, and they can see what they're working with. A lot of coaches scroll on Twitter. Every college coach I have go through Twitter.
Right.
And when I was getting recruited, I remember I'd get a follow, and then I could almost guarantee within the next 2 days I was gonna get a direct message setting up a phone call or something to be recruited. And yeah, I think just put yourself out there on social, email the coaches. I did that too. I never had much success with that, but still there's a chance. You're throwing a shot out there. Better than nothing. They may scroll through and see it. And then also, go play against those players, because like again, the truth is we are in Cairo, Georgia, and you can be the man out there at Cairo High School or the girl, but again, you're playing whatever, I guess 3A now, against lower competition, and it's still impressive. I'm not knocking any of it. It's still hard to go out there and do that, but college coaches aren't necessarily looking at that. They want to see you go face those girls that you're going to be facing when you get to college, and see how you're going to do, and not even like go out there and ball out. See how you're going to handle it if you go up there and suck. That too. So they like to see it all. I think that's probably the best approach.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, this is what you said. And just like I tell kids here, if just like I told you, like, coaches got time. They're just like you. You know what I mean? They get home, they grab their phone, and they scroll. And sometimes you feel like, well, I emailed them one time. Well, email them. You got to look at it. Like just like I used to tell you guys, 100 doors, right? We're gonna knock on 100 doors. We're gonna get 99 no's.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking for that one yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be like that. And then some kids are too, they get to where they like, well, I'm not going to keep emailing them. You don't want to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to video everything up. No, you got to video everything. You got to video, you got to post it, whatever. It only takes one. Coaches could be bored.
Yeah.
When he goes, who is this kid? He keeps emailing and he click it. You know what I mean? And then, okay, cool. All right, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have been stuff. And now you're on their radar.
Yeah.
So, my thing is like, you guys, if you don't have Twitter or X, get on it.
Yeah.
Record your videos, post them, tag every school. If you have any desire, it don't matter. If you say I can't play at Florida State, you can't play there if you don't try.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know, because the definition of recruiting is human error.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what people do. So there's somebody at Florida State or Duke or all these other schools that a coach going, how did he get here?
Yeah.
Because guess what? One day he did something great, and that coach was like, this kid can play. Well,
Yeah.
all you gotta do. You know, now you're stuck with that kid at least for 1 year.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, you gotta be your biggest, you know, advocate, and you have to, you know, put yourself out there and can't be, you know, afraid to. You know, don't worry about what other people say. If you want to play at the next level,
Yeah.
you just gotta, you know, you gotta get out there because coaches. It's not like back when I was going. Coaches came to school.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not playing, that's what I told you. In high school, I was like, look, I know you don't. You gotta go. You gotta go play with this team.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna play. And all you gotta do is you just gotta have one game, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I've seen it happen for you and Casey and Will. You know, just go and you don't gotta have a great season. You gonna get the ball, and that's one thing. Shout out Big Radcliffe that he did is he gonna put you
In good spots.
in a good position. He gonna say you supposed to be that dude. We're playing one of the best teams in the league right here. You got the ball.
See what you got.
See what you got. And you guys performed at the right time. It led to scholarships. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's the biggest thing too. So for you, Carlin, just keep stacking days, keep putting in the work, put yourself out there, keep tagging coaches, and just keep just keep working, keep your head down, and just keep working.
No, I forgot my other question, but what's your plan like this summer? What's your goal? Where do you want to be at going into your senior year or what junior year?
Yeah, senior year.
Senior year. So what's your plan? You know, what's your goals for this summer and even next year?
Just nothing different than I've done since I was as young as I can remember. It's just I'm gonna put my head down. I'm working the camp and all, but around that, it's gonna be weight room. It's gonna be getting bigger, faster, stronger, throwing harder. Every aspect that I can think about that I need to improve on before next year. A big one for me right now is I had a pretty good year last year, but my strikeout number is really low. And I put myself in a lot of good spots to get strikeouts. I just couldn't put them away. So my goal is to get my strikeout stuff up, and that comes with velo. So I think the main thing this summer is previous summers I haven't been able to train at all because I was in physical therapy every summer. Besides last summer, and I had just got cleared from my surgery, and it was more of rebuilding arm health rather than training. I was at the field every day. I was in the weight room, but it was more of I was still a little scared to let it eat, and I get made fun of here a little bit because I fidget with my arm all the time. It's because after a long time you worry about it 24/7, and I'm past that now. But I was ramping back up, getting my arm used to throwing hard again, and then I went to this year, and I was blessed to have the year I had. I told somebody I'd be happy just to play a little bit. I ended up getting a lot of playing time, and that was awesome. And so I think that kind of proved to me like a baseline. It's like, okay, this is you now, with limited hours, not hours put in. I put in a lot of hours, but like true healthy, like preparing to play baseball season hours. All the rest were like rehab, just hoping I could throw a baseball without pain. And my arm was healthy through the whole season, and so now I feel like I'm in a good spot to really push it, you know. And I think the main thing is just upping my velocity. It wasn't bad at all this year, but I think it can help me get to where I want to be, numbers wise, and maybe opportunities wise.
After senior year, what's your plan? You got what do you hope for? You got any goals after that or
Um, well, the plan is to play pro baseball. I don't not too sure what that looks like right now. Honestly, I'm just focused on putting myself in the best spot for next year, and then whatever happens next year, and going from there. But ideally, let's say I get my velo up to a number. I'm left-handed, so it kind of helps me. I don't got to throw that hard. So if I get it up just to a number that is slightly impressive, then that could open doors that I can walk through. But until then, I don't want to get so focused on that before I go out and do what I got to do next season. So right now, the goal is more how can I dominate the area I'm in, my conference at Thomas University, or just going into the fall, my team. They're my teammates, but go out there and dominate. So I'm trying to put myself best for that and go dominate in the fall, then look to the spring, dominate in the spring. And then, if things go the way I hope they go, I'll leave the spring being like, and technically I'll still have another year. So who knows? I'm not really looking forward, not making too many plans right now.
all right. Got any more questions?
No, I think that's smart of you. Just being right now, being where your feet are.
Yeah.
And just getting your head down and just working. And then like thing about pro baseball is again it's one day, day, one scout.
Mm-hmm.
And my biggest what I would tell you, my advice to you is again you shoot for the moon. You don't go out and say I'm not going to play and whatever because it's not your decision. You know what I mean? Your job is to put these scouts and people in compromising positions to make them have to make a decision on you. So just continue your work. Stay consistent, stay who you are. I think that's one of the great attributes that you have. That I think that you know who you are. And a lot of people don't. A lot of players don't. They don't have their own. They don't have an identity, and that's something that doesn't come easy. You got to go create it, and then you got to own it. And I think you put yourself in a situation where you know who you are. You have your goals set. You know what it takes. You know what it looks like. That's huge. Just knowing the fact that you know what it looks like. And so, I wish you the best of luck. We're gonna be here for you. We can help you. Chris is gonna be around all summer here at camp. So if you guys are, anybody have questions, I'm sure you'll see him back on the podcast. But we're here. He's here for you. Any kids that want to talk, just come in and talk, and just pick his brain. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. So we appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. Let's see if we got any questions that we missed before we log off.
Christian, you got anything to say about summer camp?
I'm excited. I'm very
That's
excited for
it.
summer
You got
camp.
nothing for the kids. Tell them to register or something.
Yeah, register now. Don't wait because spots are filling up quickly, and you don't want to miss out. It's going to be a lot of fun, and yeah, it's a blast every year. I'm excited for it.
That is true. Spots are filling up. We're trying to be as lean as pace to try to get everybody in.
That is true.
So I wouldn't suggest waiting like really till the last minute, especially if you haven't spoken to myself or Bryce. Make sure you get your athletes signed up. We really don't want to turn anybody away, but it is getting really close. So get your athletes signed up. We have full day and half day prices. I think, yeah. So I think that's what word I'm looking for. But again,
make my job a lot easier if
Yeah.
you sign up quick. I'd appreciate that. But we enjoyed having you on, Christian. I didn't know all your story, but now I do, and you got the story with it. So we wish you the best of luck in senior year and your future endeavors.
Thank you.
So, thank you all for joining.
thank you. Appreciate it.